Hello and welcome to Star Wars The Old Republic. I am Enemy Cobra F1. Today I'm going to be talking to you about in-game PvE Innovative Ordinance Mercenary. This is not a PvP guide. I'm really bad at PvP. If you need info on PvP, you're going to have to talk to somebody else. This is a PvE guide. So 3 things I'm going to be talking about in this video are gearing. I'm also going to go over proficiencies and utilities. And thirdly, we will be going over the different aspects of the rotation itself. You can use these links to skip ahead in the video to the parts of it that you want to learn about. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about gearing. Firstly, you want to get accuracy cap. 733 accuracy rating is what you are shooting for. That is going to be 1 accuracy enhancement, 3 accuracy augments, and then I also build around the accuracy stem, which is the advanced polybiotic proficient stem, which gives you 240 accuracy. So that will put you in 234 gear with a 234 enhancement at 718 accuracy rating or 109.81 with a 240 enhancement that will get you to 733 or 109.96%. With the rest of your gear, you want to somewhat balance it between crit and alacrity. I get my tech crit to 40.5%, which is about 1645 crit rating, and then my alacrity to about 12%, which is 1320. Now, I am in mostly 234 gear, so these numbers will change, and I will offset that by changing out some augments, taking out a crit augment, putting in an alacrity augment, things like that. So I'm only using crit and alacrity augment, and I'm also using crit crystals in my weapons as well. Okay, proficiencies and utilities. What should you take? We'll start with the utilities. Improve vents. Your skillful utility. Vent heat immediately vents an additional 15 heat and grants 10% alacrity for 6 seconds. This is a must-take utility every time as an innovative ordnance mercenary. You must take this utility. It will be key to your rotation. The rest of these are mostly optional. There is nothing else when it comes to DPS that you should absolutely take, with the exception of probably Thrill of the Hunt, which allows unload to be used while moving. So you definitely want to take that in PvE scenarios. Would also highly recommend taking torque boosters, which increases the duration of hydraulic overrides by 4 seconds. So those 3 utilities I always take no matter what, and I'll switch out some of these other ones depending on the fight. Pyro Shield, Power Barrier, Threat Sensors, Kolto Surge, Stabilized Armor, Energy Rebounder, Trauma Regulators. Those are the utilities that I usually start taking. When it comes to your abilities, your discipline path, you have Incendiary Missile at level 10, key to your rotation, Thermal Detonator at level 26, Serrated Shot at level 42, and Mag Shot at level 58. Mag Shot is a rail shot replacement. One other thing that I want to point out here is going to be the innovative particle accelerator. Power shot, unloaded sweeping blasters, finish the cooldown on rail shot and mag shot, and make the next rail shot or mag shot generate no heat. This effect cannot occur more than once every 7.5 seconds. The entire innovative ordnance rotation is based on this passive ability. So the whole rotation centers around that 7.5 second internal cooldown that removes the cooldown or finishes the cooldown on mag shot and makes it generate no heat. That's what the entire rotation is based around, and we'll get right into that rotation now, and I'll show you how to do it. A couple of things to keep in mind about your abilities. 2 of the abilities that you get, Serrated Shot and Incendiary Missile. These are 2 of your most important abilities, and you should keep these abilities on the target as much as possible. As you can see, when I use an Incendiary Missile, it applies a burn to the target for 15 seconds. When I use Serrated Shot, it applies this bleed to the target for 12 seconds. These 2 dots, the burn and the bleed, you should have up on the target 100% of the time, or as close to 100% of the time as you can. Two other things that these two dots also do for you. Incendiary Missile, as you can see, makes the target assailable. Damage taken from elemental and internal attacks increased, so that's at a 45-second cooldown. However, if you're using Incendiary Missile properly in your rotation, that will always be up. Serrated Shot has another of those abilities, which is marked. Damage taken from ranged attacks increased as well. That's a 5% increase, and the assailable debuff that you get from Incendiary Missile is a 7% increase on elemental attacks. Okay, so let's get into the opener rotation. Before you ever start a boss fight, you want to prep yourself. So you want to make sure that you have 10 stacks of Supercharge. You can do this in a couple of ways. First of all, if you have any stacks left over from a previous fight, you can use those. Also, you can Kolto shot yourself or any other member of your raid group in order to get stacks, because every time you use a Kolto shot, it will give you a stack of Supercharge maxed at 10. You'll know that you have 10 stacks when your Supercharge gas ability is lit up. For the opener, it's going to be Serrated Shot, Incendiary Missile, Mag Shot, Unload, Mag Shot. Then you'll use your Supercharge, Electronet, Thermal Detonator, Power Shot, Mag Shot. And again, you want to make sure that you have your 10 stacks of Supercharge before going into this opener. So, it's going to go Serrated Shot, Incendiary, Mag Shot, Unload, another Mag Shot, and then you'll use your Supercharge with your Electronet, Thermal Detonator, Power Shot, and then Mag Shot. And that is your opener. That is your high burst, get all of your abilities used as quickly as you can opener. In this GCD right here, in between, so after your Incendiary Missile, before your first Mag Shot, right here is where you will want to use your Attack Adrenal. Immediately coming after your opener is what I call the high heat rotation. It's going to be dot applications, 2 Power Shots, Mag Shot, Thermal Sensor Override into your Unload, Thermal Detonator, Power Shot, Mag Shot. And then you do everything again, and then the third time through your rotation, you're going to put Vent Heat after your 2 dot applications. Now, the reason you use your Thermal Sensor Override, which your next ability generates no heat, so that will not only make Unload cost no heat at all, but you will also be venting heat during that entire 2 GCD cast of Unload, which will make the rest of this rotation possible. Also, it is important that you use your vent heat in this exact location after your dot applications before this power shot, because remember, this entire rotation is based off of the procs that you get from your power shots for your mag shot, and whenever you use vent heat, you will gain a 10% alacrity buff. So if you use your vent heat after your power shot or at any other point in your rotation, you run the risk of throwing off those procs for your mag shot and messing up your entire rotation. So it is important that vent heat is utilized in this spot specifically. So immediately out of your opener rotation, you reapply your dots. And then we get here, Thermal Sensor into the Unload, Thermal Detonator into the Power Shot, Mag Shot. Reapply your dots. And keep an eye on my heat as I'm doing this. You'll notice that I'm actually fairly low, but it's going to jump up fairly quickly here. Unload. Thermal Sensor over, or Thermal Detonator, Power Shot, and Mag Shot. Now if you look at my heat right here, I'm going to be right around 58%, so that's where I want to use my vent heat. 2 more Power Shots. Into the Unload. Thermal Detonator. And that is the high heat rotation. Now again, you only use this rotation if you have both Thermal Sensor Override and Vent Heat available. The way this rotation is set up, whenever you're continuing through your rotation, as you see the Thermal Sensor Override is coming off of cooldown in 27 seconds. As soon as this is off of cooldown, you can go back into your high heat rotation. So if you're going through your rotation and you see that you've got like 4 seconds left on this, but you're right here in rotation, revert back to this high heat rotation because these abilities will come off of cooldown. Watch, I'll show you right here. So we've got about 4 seconds left. We'll go back into the high heat rotation here. Go ahead and use that Thermal Sensor Override. Power Shot, Mag Shot. Reapply the dots. Another Thermal Detonator here. And as you can see, my vent heat is literally off of cooldown exactly when I need it. So if you do not have your thermal sensor override or your vent heat available, those abilities are on cooldown, this is a low heat rotation. This is a rotation that you could do indefinitely and you would never run out of heat. Now, of course, you're not using thermal detonators, because that would be where the thermal detonators would be in this GCD here, and you're also not using an additional power shot. You're replacing both of those with your basic attack or your rapid shots. So as you can see with this rotation, just go through it a few times. Just keep an eye on my heat. I will never go above 40 heat with this rotation. Okay. Because as I'm starting the new rotation off, I'm at about 2% heat every single time. Apologize for that cough right there. So with this rotation, literally I will never run out of heat. You can do this rotation 100% of the time, but you're also not utilizing all of your abilities properly. So there's a couple of things, even when you're in this low heat rotation, that I want to point out. Okay, so still talking about the low heat rotation, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. If you have supercharged gas available, you can use either a thermal detonator or an electronet in this GCD immediately after your unload, assuming that you use your supercharged gas soon thereafter. You can also, let's say you have, let's go with 7 stacks here. 5, 6, 7. So when we go through this rotation, we'll reapply our dots. We'll gain a stack of supercharge from this power shot, and we'll gain a stack of supercharge from this rapid shot as well. That's going to put us at 9 stacks. So our supercharge is not available, but will become available on this power shot. So just to kind of show you how this works, we'll put the dots up. Power shot, rapid shot, mag shot. Now if you'll notice, I'm at 9 stacks of supercharge here. So I'm going to go ahead and use a thermal detonator. Power shot will proc that, and then immediately use my supercharged gas as soon as I proc it with my power shot. The other thing about the low heat rotation is that even if your supercharge is not available, you can use a thermal detonator if and only if you are below 10% heat when you finish your unload. So if you notice right there, I was bouncing between 4 and 8% heat on my unload. So I can use a thermal detonator in this GCD if and only if I am below 10% when I finish my unload. So I'll do it quickly for you here so you can kind of see how that's going to work. So my unload, I'll be at 9% when I finish. It was right at 10, so that's okay. And then I'm at 13 coming back into here. You cannot do this twice in a row. So when I come back through it this time, I'm going to need to use rapid shots instead. And then there. And so I'll be hovering right around this 8% heat. And now here again, I'm right at 10%, so I can use a thermal detonator there. So anytime that you are at 10% or lower heat, as soon as you finish your unload, you can use a thermal detonator instead of the rapid shots. So next I want to talk about when to use your supercharged gas. Supercharged gas should be used in your rotation as soon as it's available every single time. You should never delay supercharged gas. Electronet should be used in your rotation as soon as it's convenient whenever you have it with supercharged gas. So let's say that you do not have supercharged gas available. Let's go with 3 stacks here. But your electronet is off of cooldown or is coming off of cooldown. You should not use electronet until you have supercharged gas available. So even though my electronet is off of cooldown right now, I'm not going to use it. So let's look at this rotation here. I'm below 10% heat on my unload, so we'll use a thermal detonator here. Back into the start here. Okay, now if you look, I'm at 8 stacks of supercharge. I am not going to proc until right there. Okay, So then I'm going to use my Electronet with my Supercharge right before I reapply my dots in this scenario. This GCD in your low heat rotation is going to be based off priority. If you finish your unload and you are at below 10%, use a thermal detonator. After you finish your unload, if you have Electronet with Supercharge available or Supercharge coming within 1 GCD, use your Electronet immediately followed by your Supercharge. Otherwise, use a rapid shots in this GCD. So this is your entire rotation kind of visualized. You have your opener on this line, your high heat rotation on these next 3 lines, and then this will be your low heat rotation here. As you see, we have the rapid shots in here. So you can do this entire opener and be okay on heat. Now remember, I said that this GCD here, with these thermal detonators, you will need to put in some rapid shots here, but in these cases, I'm going to be able to use thermal detonators in both of these GCDs because I'll just use a Supercharge here, which means this unload will be below 10%. So I'll be able to do another thermal detonator here. Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to do a thermal here. Let me change this real quick, because I'm 90% sure that that's going to have to be a rapid shot. Again, always starting with 10 stacks of Supercharge going into this rotation. One other thing I want to point out here, as you can see, your opener goes Serrated Shot, Incendiary Missile, but then the entire rest of the rotation goes Incendiary Missile, Serrated Shot. The reason being, Serrated Shot is a casted ability, therefore you're going to generate heat at the end of its cast. So you're going to generate heat right here in the GCD, and then Incendiary Missile is an instant ability, so you will generate heat at the beginning of the GCD. And the reason you don't do it here, because when it's set up with Incendiary Missile first, you generate heat at the beginning of the GCD here, and then you generate heat at the end of the GCD here. So you have almost 2 full GCDs of heat regeneration, which is imperative for this rotation. So I just wanted to point that out. That's why you switch it after your opener. So let's go with the precast here, Serrated Shot, Incendiary. And remember, this is the time where you would pop your attack adrenal right at that first mag shot. Okay, and then we'll use Supercharge off of the GCD, Thermal, Power Shot, and Mag Shot. And now we switch the rotation and start with the Incendiary Missiles. 2 powers. Thermal Sensor Override for my unload. Power Mag. Now we're on to the 3rd rotation. 2 powers. Mag Shot unload. Thermal Detonator. Okay, and now we're going to need to vent our heat because we're up above 60 at that point. I'm at 9 stacks of Supercharge here, so I'm going to use a Thermal Detonator here, knowing that my Supercharged gas is going to be coming off the cooldown here. And I want to use my Supercharged gas immediately after my dot applications. That's when it's going to give you the best. Do the rapid shot here. So now we're in the low heat rotation. My unload is below 10%, so we'll use a thermal detonator here. And then we're in the basic low heat rotation. My unload should be above 10% on this one, so we will not be using... Yep, it's going to be at 11%. You could push it there if you're doing your rotation exactly like this. But if you're keybinding and tapping these abilities as fast as you possibly can, you're more realistically going to be about at 15, maybe even 20% at the end of this unload in the sixth time that you use it. So you will want to go with the rapid shots. As you can see, my thermal sensor override just came off of cooldown as well, and I'm at 7 stacks of Supercharge. So essentially, you're going to go back to the start of the rotation here. You're going to switch these, and you're going to go through here and kind of do this top rotation because you will be using your Electronet. Actually, let's just keep going with it. So there's 8 and 9. Now I can use my thermal sensor override here. And I am going to use Electronet because my next power shot gave me my Supercharge. You only want to use Electronet whenever you have Supercharge available. So that is the entire rotation. Sub 30%, so if the boss is below 30%, there is one change that you make, and that is going to be your Missile Blast. So you're going to utilize Missile Blast in this GCD right here instead of your second power shot, and this is only when the boss is below 30% health, because one of your combat proficiencies believe it is it Surging Shots? No. Where is it? Flaming One? No. 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 Volatile Warhead. You get this passive at level 40. Dealing periodic damage to a target with less than 30% maximum health. Reduces the heat generated by your next missile blast by 10 and increases the damage it deals by 75%. This effect cannot occur more than once every 15 seconds. Your entire rotation is 15 seconds. So you will be able to use a missile blast in this location every single time. It will generate 10 heat whenever it is procced, so keep that in mind. You may not be able to use it every single time. So just keep an eye on your heat. If you're at 15 heat or lower going into this missile blast, you can utilize it. So if we go here, we're at 19 heat. Let's change that. Let's make that 20 heat or lower. If you're at 20% heat or lower and the missile blast is procced, use it in this GCD. If you're above 20% heat, I would not use it. Unless you're coming to the end of the boss fight and your heat doesn't really matter anymore because the boss is going to die before it comes off of cooldown. And also in your high heat rotation, when your thermal sensor override and your vent heat are available, absolutely use missile blasts instead of these secondary power shots. So that is all I have for you. I hope this rotation made sense to you. Innovative Ordinance is one of, in my opinion, the most difficult rotations in the entire game to master because it has a lot of moving parts and a lot of things to think about and stuff like that. So bear that in mind whenever you are picking this rotation up. If this video was helpful to you, please consider leaving a like and or comment down in the section below. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section and I will answer those as soon as I see them. Thank you very, very much for watching. I will be doing more of these tutorial videos for other classes as well. I really enjoy making them, so make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of those. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.